Hi guys and welcome. Today we're going to make some of these beautiful journaling spot tags. So I'm choosing to work with birds today, so I haven't worked with birds for a while. And then obviously we've got some labels. Most of these labels I think are from Tracy Fox, which is her Etsy shop's called Love Junk Journals, and I put a journaling spot on the back as well. So that's just coffee dyed paper or whatever really light colored paper that you can write over on there is fine. So that's my prototype, so we'll pop him off to the side and let's get started. So yesterday I had a bit of a clean up with my scraps and I sort of sorted them into these pocket type containers. So this is my craft cardstock, so that's the bases that we're using today. And most of the scraps I found were around the 2.5 inch. So this one here we've gone 2 inches across and 5.5 inches down. So I'm going to stick with that measurement for today's tags. So I'll just cut out a few, and then we go, so 2 inches by 5.5, or you can choose a different width or length if you like. I actually like the idea of these because they're similar to like a clothing tag. So if you're a great one to keep all your scraps and you've got some clothing tags, get them out guys, because we're going to be collaging some book page and coffee dyed paper on top of them as well. This is a good way to use up any card scraps that you've got. Do one more. So these are from a previous leftover project. Actually, that one's not quite two, so we won't use that one. This one's a double one, so we'll tear it in half. Get the length sorted first. So pop that off. Actually no, we'll keep that because we're going to cut some journaling spots for the back, so we'll quickly do that and then that'll be all the cutting that we need to do. So the journaling on spots on the back, they're just a little bit smaller than the actual tag. So the tag, as we know, is 2 inches by 5.5, so I've just gone down a quarter, so 5.25 by 1 3/4, and that way you'll just get that little border all the way around. So 1 3/4. It works out well because on this guillotine there's lines going down on the 1 3/4 and then 5.25. This is also a good way to use up your coffee dyed scraps. See, coffee dyed paper. And I use my scraps a lot because I like to do little notebooks and little journaling spots throughout my journal. You can never have enough writing space. So 1 3/4 by 5.25. Just do a couple more. And then when we cut these, we're going to round the corners off. Not quite wide enough. What have we got here? 1 2 3 4. I'd like one more. this one. So yeah, with my scraps yesterday, I put them into book page, coffee dyed paper, patterned scrapbook paper, and cardstock. Just neaten off that edge. So I can have them out on my desk and go to the one that I want. I'm trialing it that way anyway. I did have them sort of sorted before, but then, as you know, when you do projects, you just throw them into, well, I've got a big container, whether you got a drawer, a container, a bin, and they can take over after a while. So then I'm going to grab some book page, and I want long bits. I want the writing going across because we're going to be tearing long bits that way. There's a couple I may not have enough that way because I tend to, you know, have more that way. So I'll just have a quick rummage through. See, that one's going up and down. I'd have to reach for a book. We sort of get into trends. We use seem to use things similar way, so we end up with very similar scraps in relation to the direction of something. And we'll grab a page out of the book. Just so we've got some, and then I'll just tear it down. So most of this next step is tearing. So I want the actual writing, so I don't want the borders, but keep them. They're great for stamping on. And I don't want it the width of the card. I just want it sort of halfway or a little bit over halfway, because we're going to be putting a strip of coffee dyed paper on the other side as well. Now these are too long, so we will shorten them up in a minute. Just getting the lengths first. And in this case, we can go a little bit over into the white area because we're going to be putting the coffee dyed paper over that edge anyway. So we don't want to waste our strip. So that's about the length of what we want. So we want to shorten off these other ones. This one I'm going to take down from the bottom. Okay, great. So we've got 5 there. We may not get the whole 5 done, but I've got enough birds out to do 5. And then we want some, that's our cut pieces. We want some coffee dyed paper strips now. So I've got these left over from a project. Well, that one's stamped on, but we can still use it. I'll pop it off to the side to start with. So just tearing down, just get a little bit of a rough edge. If you've got a tear ruler, use that. But we don't want it too even. We want to give it a little bit of texture and character. So probably get 2 out of this strip. And then we want to go as close to the edge as possible. So this same tag you could put, you know, if you didn't have any birds. The ones I'm using are a digital download that I purchased on Etsy. I will try and find the link for you guys because it's got some really beautiful birds in it. And most of them, or 95% of them, I will use. Whereas sometimes you purchase something and you don't use the whole lot of the kit that you purchased. This one, I absolutely love the birds in it. And you'll see when we make these tags how beautiful they are. And if you don't like cutting out, guys, then look around for ephemera packs that you can purchase, because it is a lot of cutting. I usually sit down in front of either YouTube or TV and have a big fussy cut session, which I find really relaxing as well. You don't necessarily have to use book page or coffee dyed paper. You might want to use some pattern paper of some sort. Now with the coffee dye, I like it a little bit shorter each end to the book page. I just don't like things even when we're trying to give it a little bit of interest and texture. Okay, that might be enough. All right. So then my next step is I'm going to get a corner rounder. Now you don't have to round your corners. I actually like the corners rounded, so I'm doing a couple of pages at a time. You can leave them square. Just whatever you do, if you're leaving your card square, leave your journaling paper square. Now this corner rounder I'm using is an EK Tools. So it comes in a set of 2, a 1/2 inch and an inch. I just love them, and I do have them in my shop. They are currently out of stock at the moment, but I've got more coming. And then we'll do the cardstock. I'll just do these ones individually because you don't want your punch to have to deal with too thick a card. And the weight in this one I think is 300 GSM, so it's quite a thick one, but I do use a lot of it. So if you are working in like a cream cardstock or a pastel light colored cardstock, you wouldn't have to put your coffee dye paper or your journaling paper on the back, because you could simply write straight onto the card. But because I'm using craft, it's actually quite dark, and you want to be able to see, what you're writing. Now these I'll give a quick, very rough distress. And once again, guys, you don't have to do this. I actually like the look of it, and it takes little to no effort. And when I say that, that's if you're not being too pedantic with it. You're just getting some color on there. Think of it that way. Just getting rid of that raw edge. So this is a new sponge I've got on here, so it's can be a little bit inconsistent anyway when you're using the new ones. Seems to release a lot of ink on the first couple of strokes after you've inked it on the pad, but I don't mind it. I just go a bit lighter on the coffee dyed paper with it. And I'm using ground espresso. I really love this color. It gives it like a rich chocolatey feel. Like the brown is brown. It's not a yellowy brown or an orangey brown. So hopefully you're crafting along with me today, guys, or you're sitting back with a nice cup of tea, which I do plan to have when I finish here. It's sort of late afternoon here in Australia, and I'm thinking I might need to sit down and have a cup of tea before I start dinner. Although I think we're having leftovers tonight, which is easy for me, apart from one son. I'll have to cook him something. He doesn't do leftovers. And what I mean is he's not fussy in that he won't eat stuff that we cooked the night before. It's just that these leftovers he doesn't like. He had something different last night. All right, so I quickly ink. That's done. This is probably the most tedious part, is the inking. So just ink the edges, and I'm going a little bit heavier on the craft because it's darker, and I actually like the look. It gives it like a suede-y look. And do front and back because it is a journaling spot, so we will be paying attention to the reverse of the tag as well. I guess they're more, I was thinking today, yes, they are a tag, yes, they are a journaling spot, but they're like a stick as well. Sort of, you could use them as a bookmark. Because they're, you know, they're fairly long and they're not real wide. You could clip them in your journal and have it as a bookmark. And the craft cardstock takes the ink really well, as you can see. But if you're going to invest in the craft, go anything 250 GSM and over. Don't get it any thinner because you do use it a lot for bases. I use it a lot in journals as well. So it's got a good body to it without being overly thick, so you're not adding a lot of thickness to your journal by using the thicker. But it's great for tags and tickets and tucks and pockets. Just really sturdy. Be great belly band because, you know, it's really sturdy. And then just a really light, so pick your best side because some coffee dyed papers have sucked a fair bit of coffee, depending, I guess, where they were sitting in the tray when they went into the oven. Usually it's the bottom sheets because everything soaks through. I haven't tried coffee dyeing outside yet. I bought a sprayer the other day, and I'll get my trays out. I'm thinking I'll do a day in the sunshine and see what effects I get as opposed to drying them in the oven. And when I do that, I do it in bulk, like there's 20 pages sitting on top of each other, and the top dries, you peel it off, take it out of the oven, the next one pops up. So I've usually got a couple of trays going in the oven at once. So once again, you don't have to ink these at the back. I'm only just distressing them a little bit just to stay with the vintage vibe. So what we'll do is we'll glue the reverse down first. So I've got a glue page down here. Now with your craft, there's two sides. So there's a what I call a nice side, and then a fairly, you know, plain Jane side. So I'm going to glue these on the back of the, sorry, going to glue them on the plain side. And I'm just going to use glue stick there, a Yoo-hoo glue stick. And then just eyeball it. Get a little bit of a frame right around. And then I normally, whenever I glue something, I normally get my bone folder. It just presses it down evenly. It's quite a quick production when you're making a few of these. And getting your bases going like this is usually the lengthiest part of it, and then you get into the fun part, which is, you know, adding your embellishments and creating. Okay, so now over the front we're going to put our coffee paper and our book page. So once again, using the glue stick. I find the glue sticks, it gives you the most cover when you're gluing the whole background down in a big area. I'll do all the book page first. And it gives you the most even as well. So that's the one with the little white edge. You can see it's not going to matter because we're going to put the coffee dyed paper over the top, which we'll do with this piece. Nearly time to change my glue page, I think. So you can see there's a bit hanging down the bottom and up the top, and that's exactly what we wanted. Pop him off to the side. Just going to lift that off. Actually, I might use the folded side. And then we're just adding our coffee dyed paper. So if you've got a relatively straight edge, put it on that side, because we like the contrast over here. And the good thing about a glue stick, there's a little bit of wiggle room, so we can get that a little bit straighter after we've put it down. Lovely. So get rid of that. Let's bring them back over. All right. Okay, so now let's decorate. So I'll put my glue stick away because I am going to change over to the art glitter for the embellishments. Okay, so let's work one at a time. So we've got this one, and I've pulled out some ephemera to have a play around with, and because he's got blue in it, I've gone blue tags. So I might just layer that one like that, and I haven't put anything up the top there. Which I may do that actually. And then we might have to get something else down the bottom here. But let's stick that down. So we'll put the bottom one down first. So some of these are hand stamped, some are Tracy Fox Love Junk Journal. So this one's hand stamped, it's done in blue. So I've got a few different colours with it. Now you can fold it over. I'm actually going to cut it off because we've got our nice journaling spot on the back there. I'm going to put my bird on next. And the beauty with these birds, you can angle them. You know, you could go that way. I actually like him angled. So he looks like the branch is coming off the label. Now I didn't ink any of these, which I normally do, but I wanted to show you the difference, and I may ink it at a later stage. So you've got a white border around your bird, and I'll do the next one. I'll ink it and show you the difference. So then we just trim off the edge. Actually, I might ink the bird. I don't necessarily. I just want to fade it a little bit. As you can see, big difference. It's just vintaged it up a little bit. And then we'll get our crocodile and we'll put a hole up the top to put our eyelet in, and I just eyeball it to get the center. I've got a little bit sticking up there, so I'll get my glue stick. It's an easy fix. Just hold it up and run the glue stick along there, and we're going back down. And then we'll get an eyelet, so working with antique bronze eyelets today. And then I've got this beautiful Hessian twine, and I'm doing double length on it, because it's not very thick. So I'll work a double strand on it just to give it the appearance of, you know, a bit more thicker twine. Then we just put our loops through the eyelet, spread them out, tuck the strands in the middle and pull them through, and then that gives you the nice, I call it a bridge over, gives you like a knot effect. And then you can trim them off to whatever length. So that's one done. All right, let's move on to the next one. Now this one here, this one is beautiful, and we're really not going to need anything with this one, I didn't think. I mean, you can put a number up here. I'm not sure whether I did have a number out, but we can play with that once we've finished and put the eyelet in to see if we want to add anything to it. So I'm just going to ink around him just to get rid of that stark, and as you can see, it blends it in to the picture. And it's a good way to, if you're not the best fussy cutter, and you'll fade that white background because nobody wants to cut that out, I'm telling you. As much as I like fussy cutting, I don't like twigs, branches and things like that. So yeah, it just blends it. All right, so we want to maximize our bird, and then we can cut the tail off, but we want to also get, you know, some of this beautiful twig and foliage in there. So of course there'll be parts that you glue that will hang over and you'll cut off. It's better to do it that way because you get a better adherence than trying to lift up an edge and do it later. There we go. So maybe something down there. I don't want to take, because once we get our eyelet up there, I don't think I want to take too much, but we can definitely have a little label down there. Let's see if I've got one handy. And we might go green, a green label, I think. We don't want nothing too big, probably just something like that. And don't think we need anything up the top. I'll just have a look in the browns. No, I think I'll leave the bird alone. We'll put that green one down the bottom. Otherwise we might, you know, risk taking the focus away from our beautiful bird. That ephemera holder that you just seen, I've actually got a video on that, guys, and I'll link it down the bottom here. It is a lot of work to do it, but it's not hard. It's I give you step by step and measurements in it. Definitely have a go because it helps you to really get organized. I've got to do a couple more. I put one in my Etsy shop that I made on the video. It's been sold, but I do plan on making more and putting them in there, so just keep an eye out to it. I'll put my Etsy shop link down the bottom as well. But yeah, definitely have a go at it. And you can see they come together really beautifully. Now if you didn't have any of this Hessian twine, you could use baker's twine, ribbons, sari silk. You don't even have to put anything in it at all. You could even put a dangle off it with some beads on it. And that's that one done. Okay, let's do another one. I just love birds. They're just oh, actually, let's do this one, because this one I absolutely loved, and unfortunately it's too wide, so we're not going to get it all in. But the beauty of digital downloads, I can reprint this because I absolutely loved it, and I've got a lot of uses for this one in particular. So you can see I'm just fading or distressing that white background. So we'll try and get as much as we can in there, like that. So we'll stick him on. You could do this with, you know, you could butterflies, mushrooms, birds obviously. You might have stickers, flowers, just plain foliage would be lovely. This is a hand stamped one. I've got a lot of plain labels in my ephemera holder there because I like them, because you can get some stamps out and stamp the images, or just have them plain like this where they just add another point of interest with something over the top. And that one I'm putting off center because I actually like the tiered look to that. You could definitely put it in the middle. You could wrap something around that circle, like some of that Hessian, before you put this one down as well. And then this date, I think I might put up the top there. And why I love that ephemera holder so much is you spend less time rummaging through a container or a drawer to find the right label, ticket, tag. I've got my paper dolls in there too. I'm yet to put all my birds in a page. I was just waiting on some more vellum to come and try and get more organized. I may even go to a separate one for my birds and butterflies because I have so much of them. They might deserve their own journal. Or take the paper dolls out and give the paper dolls their own journal, and then put everything else in that one, because it is a big one, that one. It's a A4 size. So once again, the twine, just doubling it up, which you don't have to, but you can see that it just adds a little bit of thickness because it's so thin. So don't discount your stocks. If something's too small or thin, look at ways to bulk it up or use it in contrast with something else. like I've done there. That one would have been too small in that fair space, so I've put something behind it. What's that one there? Absolutely, I love this bird. I just love the colours in it. All right, so let's go. I'm going to do 2 more. What have we got? Yep, so we're going to go green tones with this one. And this one here, I think that's from Field Notes, Stampers Anonymous, Tim Holtz stamp set. I've done a heap in different colours, and they're great to just add on to projects. I don't ink them prior. And I've stamped them on my scraps. So if you've got scrap cardstock, have a little stamping day and stamp out some numbers, some tags, some labels. Keep them relatively plain where you can add to them. Alright, so once again we don't know which area is gonna hit the tag, so I'll glue it all and then we can cut it off. But I always try and maximize the bird. So we've actually got all the bird in this one, so it's only branches that we're cutting off. So I might try and lift that tail before it dries, because I'm going to slip this one under. Make sure your writing's up the right way too. I've made that mistake a few times. Because, you know, sometimes when we're crafting, we actually zone out because we're that relaxed. Like if we're working on something where we don't have to think too much about it, because we can rely on our visual creativity. To take over, unless you're measuring stuff, guys. But like I said, do all that, you know, mundane stuff up front. Do all your cutting up front. Lovely. And that way you can just sit and create, playing around with, you know, your embellishments, whatever you're going to put on them. And I'm just eyeballing the middle there. It's hard, I can't get my head over the top of it, because you don't want to look at the top of my head. So you're sort of working with your projects out the front. So sometimes they don't line up. So we might do, I'll cut that string later off camera. We might do our last one. And we've got this beautiful bird here. I mean, they're all beautiful. So just getting rid of that white raw edge. We're going to stick him down. I know I do want to put something up the top of that one, so I will have to go searching. which I don't mind doing. Maybe something in the way of a number. So let me have a look. And I don't think we need it to stand out. Maybe something like that. Or I think I like the square look on that one. And then we also, remember, we wanted just a little something down the bottom there. Just a little something. Actually, I like that. Just pop that one back. Ink those up. So it's good to have a lot of variety. It helps with your creativity, but more importantly, it's good to have different sizes, so sizes and color. So if you're hand making ephemera yourself, make sure you do it in some different colors. So whatever inks you've got, do it in your inks. So then we'll just cut the excess off this one. And then we'll put the eyelet in, and then we'll do the hessian up the top. And then we'll do a recap on the beautiful ones we've made today. So to measure it, I'll just fold it over and go, that's roughly the length you want it, and then you just double it if you're doubling your twine. Then find the center of your 4 strands, pop your loops through, open them up, and then put your strands back through. Creates that little loop, or little over the bridge. Actually, that's even thinner, that piece. It's not real consistent. I'll use it in something else. Last straggler through there, and then pull them evenly, firm it up, just put my pin back in my glue so it doesn't dry up on me. It's not real forgiving. Okay, so let's have a look at what we've created. Actually, this one here, we turn it over. Always make sure you turn it over because you'll see what's hanging out, because on the front you can't really notice. Okay, so let's go through. So we've done 5 today, which is pretty good. So we've got this one here, once again, using your labels. You know, you might have words that you want to use instead. You can always add some lace or, you know, other pattern paper. I wanted a fairly neutral background with them. I just love that one. I mean, they're all gorgeous in their own way. But there you go, guys. I hope I've inspired you today to have a go at these. They've got the journaling places on the back, so you know you can tuck them into your journal. You can use them as bookmarks. You can paper clip them in onto a page. They don't have to go into a tuck or a pocket, but a lot of uses, and you can never have too much journaling space. But thanks, guys. I've really enjoyed spending time with you today, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye, guys.